Hi, this is Doug. This is a continuation on our series on BigCommerce product data processing. This particular video will cover the file downloading from the vendor's URLs that are provided in the spreadsheet that we had. So here we are on a simulation of the computer that's going to be doing the file downloading while you're continuing processing revision 3 of the spreadsheet. So this particular computer is dealing with revision 2, even though we've already completed it. So it makes good sense to, once you've got the file naming and the URLs, to set a separate computer off to chug through going and downloading all of these files because it's going to take hours and or days. And we go ahead and start with the image 1. Now, according to our master guide here, we have the names that we have specified here for the subdirectories to put all of these files into. Once again, you want to keep them separated for batching processes in case things go wrong, for data cleanup, for a variety of reasons. Don't get too obsessive with it. Obviously, we just have one folder for image 1, one folder for image 2, one folder for the install guides, one folder for the spec sheets, one folder for the spreadsheet data. And that seems to be sufficient, unless of course you've got data conversions to deal with, like we have in this case with this vendor in image 1. Anyway, so we create these blank subdirectories, and then we run our file copy from URL program. Now, normally we run this in Visual Studio just because our programs are a little clunky and we're always making changes to them. You don't necessarily have to run them in Visual Studio. You can run them in command line, and that does make the window smaller. And if you've a little tight on screen space anyway. So now for the purposes of this video, we're just going to take a subset of 100 products and do a download on those. So I'm going to go ahead and copy 100 products off the top into the first tab. Keep in mind when you go to copy 100, column 1, the headings is 1, so actually you're going to do a 101. Always ensure that this spreadsheet has been sorted in the product code SKU order, or else things get real confusing later on. I like to take column 101 and change the color on it, so I know where that first 100 is in case I have to take that out later on when I'm doing other stuff on the sheet. So we go ahead and copy this data and paste it in here. Once again, we're just doing this for the examples for this video. Okay, so we have this first 100 all separated out and all lined up. So we go to our Visual Studio here and we go to run this program. I suppose I should do this from the beginning here. When you first do this, you have to do run, start debugging, and select the file type. And since I've done this before, we can just click on this run and debug. So I said you don't have to run it in Visual Studio, but yeah, since our programs are not the world's best, it doesn't hurt. Okay, over here we have the representation of where those files are going to go, and I keep doing that. There. All right. I'm going to drop this down here a little bit so I can get back at it. All right, so we go ahead and run the program. This program is going to, you're going to give it the column that the URL for the file. It's going to download the file and it's going to rename it whatever you've put in this case, column M. If the program crashes, you can go ahead and restart it. It is smart enough that it will look at any files that It will check to see that the file doesn't exist before it tries another download. So it will not try and re-download however 10,000 or so files it came before it. It'll just go down the list until it finds something that hasn't been downloaded yet and keep going from there. So it's very fault tolerant. You can rerun it several times without any damage or slowdown. First thing it's going to ask is the directory, destination directory path. It's this. Simplest thing to do rather than typing it is just to highlight it and copy it and then paste it in here and then hit enter. Source path is going to be the URL, which in this case is column L. Destination file name in this case is M. And when we set this off, if you keep the folder, the destination folder where the files are going open, then you've got a running progress of how many files it's completed, and some idea what they look at. Comes in kind of handy. The program itself will just tell you what file it's currently processing, but it doesn't really give you a good idea of how far along it is. So we go ahead and hit enter, and it will start downloading the files as we see here in the folder, and it will populate. Of course, after the download is complete, there's some filtering that you want to do. You're going to look for, no image available pictures. You're going to look at things that didn't download for some strange reason, and rerun the downloader at least one more time to see if maybe there was just a connection problem, the website was down, or who knows what exactly. This is not an exact science. When it gets through doing this series of downloads, it is going to create a column at the end of the spreadsheet that will give you the size of the files that were downloaded, which gives you an extra confirmation that they were actually downloaded. Here we see file size, and what their sizes are, so you can sometimes very obviously bad or no image available images will show up, and you can clean those up. You may want it, every time you run this, no matter on what column it is, it's always going to create another column called file size. Every time you rerun it's going to file size. You might want to rename that before you do reruns, so you can tell the file size on, well, what exactly. So in this case, I'm going to rename this. Oops. There, and now that's clear. And so the next time I run it on the image 2, it's not going to get confusing. All right, so pick up where we left off here. Okay. All right. So in this particular case, no, I do have some downloads that I've already done. Now, as we said, image 2 is going to need some additional processing because their PNGs, they have to be reformatted as JPEGs. So we're going to put them in the PNG folder, run conversion programs, and then upload the JPEGs later on. So we run the same program on these and just give it a different set of URLs and file names to work with. So we do a run and debug. As I said, there's already first 4 in the folder, no problem. It's just going to skip over those because it sees they're already there. We do our handy dandy copy the path, drop it in there so we don't have to type it because we're lazy. Image 2 URL is column N. The file names for those is O. And we hit that and it should go on its merry way there. And of course, as I said, and it's clocking off down here how many it's done, so that gives you how far along you are. You do the same things with the install guide PDFs and with the spec PDFs, each in their respective folder. And I find it cute that Microsoft by default does not render PNGs, but it will JPEGs. That's annoying, thank you. Alright, next one is the install. Rinse and repeat. Before we do that, of course, we go to our end column and rename this file name status so that it doesn't get wiped out, or we don't get it confused with the other one. So this one deals with image 2. Now, as you can see here at the top, the first 4 files we have blanks. Well, that's because it was previous run. They were already there, so it didn't even try. So keep that in mind. If the program crashes when you're doing like image 1 and you start it 3 or 4 times, you're going to have 3 or 4 columns of file size that are referenced to image 1 for each one that it series that it downloaded successfully. So you might have to squish those together, or keep that in mind when you're doing a comparison. And we'll run the program again on the installs. If there are blank URLs in there, it's smart enough to know to ignore those and just keep chucking on. But same difference. Copy here, drop there, give it the URL column, give it the file name column, and away it goes. Well, unless it crashes. And this is why we run it in Visual Studio, so we can catch these errors, send a screen capture to me, and I can fix the program so that it's more robust next time. And now that the program is corrected, we can see it's downloading properly. And of course, we complete the final step with the specs, if we have them. Sometimes we don't. Oops, and another. Okay, so in this case, the problem was not the program. The URLs they gave us are malformed. You see in valid ones https://. Here, no https, just www, which causes the program to crash. If you see that, then you have to do a concatenate to put the https back on it. So this simple concatenation formula that we see up here will fix the issue, and we can work with that. So we go ahead and complete that down. Now, of course, since there's going to be gaps, you're going to have to sort and filter and make sure that you've got all of the gaps of the URLs, if you have to do such a thing. Luckily, in this case, our test of first 100 is okay. Of course, we now have to apply that formula to the larger batch of the merged things, or else we're screwed. Anyway, a good thing the problem cropped up. Now that's how you fix it. And we can see now that we actually have the damn HTTPS in, the URL is formed properly, it downloads correctly. And that completes the video on the file download process and some of the glitches that you might see. The program has been fixed, but pay close attention to how the URL is formed. Vendors are idiots. They will give you just any type of information, no matter what garbage, just to get you off the phone. Thank you, vendors. Anyway, thank you for your time and attention.